Welcome to Country Kickback, where you'll hear the latest music from performers you already know and discover new music and artists from around the world. If you have an artist you'd like us to chat with, reach out to the team at countrykickback.com, or you can watch our live videos and more by following us on social media and YouTube. Here is your host, Danny Shaw, with the latest from Country Kickback.
Hello, everybody. Well, it's working this time. I don't know if you guys got a message a few minutes ago saying we went live, but it didn't work. So it's working now. Let me know you're there. Make sure that you guys can hear me this time. How are you all? What have you been up to? I know a lot of you are probably locked down. Tell us what your lockdown secrets are. How are you keeping yourselves sane? Tonight we've got Riley Catherall joining us. He's got a new album that we're going to have a chat to him about. So if you've heard the album and have any questions that you want to know about any of the songs or anything, pop them in the comments and we'll get to as many of them as we can. And if you haven't heard the album, come and we'll tell you all about it, and then you can go and listen to it yourself. But we might welcome Riley into the room. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for coming back.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. You're in lockdown too.
Yeah, to some degree. I can't really keep up with what the rules are at the minute. But yeah, we're definitely trying to get through it for sure.
Yes. Have you got any tips to stay sane?
Well, last year it was a lot of drinking and a lot of Monopoly. Turns out I'm not great at either of those things. So this time around, just been trying to keep busy, trying to make plans for when, things are happen again, and just so we come out of the gate swinging. Yep.
Well, you're in lockdown and you've still managed to release your new album, which your debut album. I know that it's probably not gone to plan, releasing and then going into lockdown, but how's it all going?
It's going good. Last year I released a couple of songs in lockdown, and it definitely was something that was worrying, not being able to get out on the road and actually tour the songs. But it was nice to see that it still got a little bit of wind underneath it, and people still heard it without being able to tour it. So I think that took a lot of the edge off putting this record out. And I was definitely just set on the date that I wanted to put it out. And I was like, we could wait, years for this COVID thing to sort itself out. So I just wanted to put it out so I can move on and write some new things as well.
Yeah. Yeah, because it feels like it's been coming for so long. You've released 3 singles off this album now, haven't you?
Yeah, that's it. It has been coming for a while. I've been talking about it for probably too long.
Well, it's finally here. When I Go is the album title. Do you have a favourite song on the album?
The favourite song probably changes daily. There are songs on there which I'm really, really proud of, and there's songs on there which I'm proud of them all. I wouldn't put them on the record if I wasn't. But there's definitely songs on there which are songs for me, and there are other songs which are necessarily my favorite things that I've written lyrically or musically or whatever. But I think one of my overall favorites is a song called "The Ferryman." The Ferryman.
Well, we're going to touch base on the songs on the album, but we might go with that one first. Tell us about "The Ferryman."
Yeah, sure.
8 on the album, isn't it? Have I got that right?
Yeah, it's a track that I wrote, and I had the idea for quite a long time. G'day, Kaz, how you doing?
Good.
And it was a song which, as a musician, we're constantly second guessing ourselves, and this particular worry was about having the financial stability to raise a family, and it's something that I think we, as musicians or anyone in the creative arts, have these tiny little panic attacks every now and again where we realize that because of our career choice, we may not have the same stability, and that's less than desirable, I know, from a lot of people who want to date people like us. So it came from that sort of spot, and I took it to a good friend of mine, Sean Ryan, who I play in the Lachlan Bryan and the Wilds with, and he helped me finish it. So it's also a very special song for me because I, enrolled the help of a dear friend of mine. something, and co-writing being something that I really took to during lockdown last year.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Well, we might have a bit of a look. We might track backwards and go to the start of the album. We've got song number 1 is I Don't Remember. Tell us a little bit about writing that. And are these gone on in order that you've written? How have you chosen this order for songs?
I think there's a lot of factors which sort of determined where things sat on the album. When we play a lot of these things live, like I Don't Remember is a song that we've started playing right at the start. And it was something that I think it has this big 3-part harmony, vocal thunderstorm thing going on. And we wanted to put that at the very start of the set, which when it pays off is great. But it is really incredibly nerve-wracking because it means that, on little sound check or bad sound on stage, it means the 3 of us have got to hit all the perfect notes all at the same time. But when it does pay off, it feels like this really great start to a record. And it was a song which I think encapsulated, I guess, the beginning of the last 3 or 4 years of my life and what thematically this entire record is about. So it was a song about, getting out the other side of some hard times and realizing that your brain is actually, blackened out that part of history due to it being traumatic or for whatever reason. So I think it was a nice place to start the record to sort of set the tone for the rest of it.
Wonderful. As we're going along, if you guys have heard these songs, let us know and tell us what you think about them. It'd be interesting to hear your thoughts and if you guys have a favourite on the album. Number 2, Vacant Lot. I like all the songs, but Vacant Lot is my favourite. I don't know. It's just one of those songs that's always sort of, I really like it. And when it comes on, it's stuck. So that was your second single from When I Go. So tell us a little bit. We've touched base on Vacant Lot.
Yeah, Vacant Lot seems to be, a bit of a crowd favourite. It's actually one of the hardest songs for me to sing and one of the hardest songs for us to play as a band. For some reason, it's so strange. Like, it's actually quite an easy song conceptually and musically, but it's one that we've always struggled with. And so I think for that reason, it's probably one of my least favorites on the record, which is something you probably shouldn't tell people, but it seems to be one of the songs that is one of the favorites. Like it went really well on radio at the beginning of the year. And again, it was a sort of really simplified version of, this constant theme of having, trying to find where you fit in, trying to find a home. Like I've been in Melbourne for 5 years and I think I've moved home 6 or 7 times. So it's just this constant uprooting of trying to figure out where you fit in and realizing that it wasn't necessarily which suburb you're in or which house or which city or whatever, but it was more, the people that you surround yourself with. And so it's nice to have a song like this out and doing well and at a stage that I can disconnect myself with it because I feel like I'm in a better place, physically. And also, I've found a really nice group of people that I enjoy being around with. So it's a song which is good that it represents the past, and I'm sort of moving on from it.
Yeah. I remember when you were on the show last time with Vacant Lot, the film clip, I remember how effective it was and how simple the idea behind it was. I thought it was such a clever clip as well.
Yeah, that was a fun one. For anyone who hasn't seen it, we essentially staged a moving house day where we took all of my furniture out of my house and set it up on a vacant lot, a vacant piece of land, which was fun and lots of funny looks from the neighbours. And it's good. Go check it out.
Yes, it is. It's lots of fun. Number 3 on the album, Germany.
Yeah, this is, as I said earlier, like there are songs on the record which I've definitely included because they were songs which were, not for anyone else. They were songs for me. And this song came from, I spent a bit of time overseas touring with Lachlan Bryan and the Wilds. And afterwards, I spent 6 weeks in Germany traveling around by myself. And it was the first time that I was actually alone with myself going through after like a pretty bad breakup. And so I was in this foreign country. No one spoke English. I was flat broke and I was, dealing with some things. And it was actually an opportunity where after a long period of writer's block and just being probably too emotional to write songs, I just had this period where I was, inspired by so many things that just lots and lots of words just fell out. And it was just, emotional dribble just into the notes part of my phone. And so when I actually got back to Australia and had a bit of perspective on the whole thing, and I, realized that I'd moved past that, I was able to put them all to music. So it's a very special one for me.
And have you managed to get all of that written now, or have you still got some of your notes with things to go?
There is actually still quite a lot of words in my notes which didn't make the cut into the song, which, I think are pretty good lyrically, so they might make an appearance in something else for sure.
Very, very productive in the end, that trip.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was really good for me on so many levels. And so, yeah, I think for that reason in particular, it's a very special song for me.
And Mother Please, number 4.
Yeah, so this is the new single, the leading single off the record. It's a song that I wrote for my mum, and it's where I grew up, just in the Yass Valley there outside of Canberra. I got my P plates as every 17, 18-year-old does, and took to the independence, the first little bit of freedom that I had, and was always out until all hours of the night. And so in turn, Mum would always be waiting up for me when I'd come home at 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning. And so when I moved to Melbourne 5 years ago, I wasn't coming home every night. So this was a song that I wrote for her, just to say, you don't have to wait up for me every night anymore. I'm not coming home, but at the same time, don't forget about me. Maybe I'll play it. I'll play that one. Maybe that's the best one.
Well, if you're happy to play the song, I might let you play it, and then we can come back and have a bit more of a chat.
Sure. Come of age and leave the cage, one of many. Grace the solitary morning light. Once the apple of my mother's eye. When I kick my spurs, I'll be gone. I left confessions for my sins, true and plenty. Shame the solitary morning light. I'm the author of my own demise. When I kick my spurs, I'll be gone. So mother, please don't wait up for me. I won't be home tonight. Draw the shades of night on my way, but don't turn off your light. On a prayer, I taste the air, it's thick and heavy. Seas is temporary, fading light. I'm a stranger in this town tonight. Make my bed wherever the evening dies. Somewhere out there, mother cries. When I kick my spurs, I'll be gone. So mother, please don't wait up for me. I won't be home tonight. Draw the shades of night on my way, but don't turn off your light.
long way up for me. I won't be home tonight. You may be a million miles from me, but don't turn off your light. But don't turn off your light. But don't turn off your light.
Wonderful. Beautiful song.
Thank you.
What was your mum's reaction when she first heard that song?
Yeah, she cried. And it's, you know, it's a very special song for me, and it's a very special song for her. And yeah, you know, she tears up every time she hears it, and she knows when I don't play it, even if she's not there. So yeah.
It's a mum thing, yes.
Yeah.
Leave Me Out to Dry, number 5.
Yeah, this was the first single off the record. I put it out about a year ago, actually. And it actually it was a bit of a sequel to an old song of mine called Watered Down Man, which sort of paints the picture of a past version of myself, you know, stumbling down Sydney Road here in Melbourne, and often intoxicated, and sort of a bit of a mantra to just, you know, keep yourself in check, like take a long hard look at yourself and figure out whether that's who you really want to be. Yeah.
Have you had a lot of reaction to this song?
Yeah, this one was a good one. And it's probably one of the favorites to play in the set when we play live. And yeah, it was one of them songs that, you know, sometimes you have songs which happen really quickly, and sometimes songs take ages to write. This was a song that came about in about half an hour. Wow. And, you know, 1 minute it wasn't there, and the next minute it was just there, and I was just like, oh, cool, I wrote that. That's really cool. I'm lucky that I was the one who got to write that. And so yeah, I think it was one of them songs which I knew exactly what it was supposed to be when I started it, and it just happened. And it's now one of my favorites for sure.
And is there a reason you put it at number 5 and released this one as your first single, because it's one of your favorites, or was there
it was I definitely had written this long before probably half of the record. And I think I was just really excited when I'd written it. I thought, this is great, I just want to put it out. Yeah, you know, it did pretty well, and it was one of them songs that I did put out during lockdown and didn't get to tour, and you know, it still did really well on radio, and people seemed to really enjoy it online. So that was very encouraging early on, to know that you could put music out during the lockdowns.
Even with what we're doing, people are still getting music. Yeah, it's great.
For sure.
And number 6, who you're running from?
Yeah, this one is probably our most favorite to play live, and I put it at number 6 because it is one of the more upbeat songs on the record, and it felt like it. You know, it's a bit of a hump in the middle of the album where it's just fun, it's upbeat, lots of vocals going on. There's, you know, some cool fiddle, and it's a song that is quite old of mine, and you know, not necessarily one of my best lyrically, but it turned into one of the best on stage, shows, I guess. So yeah, this is one of my favorites to listen to off the record.
And given that, you know, it's not been a single, have you had much reaction to the songs that people hadn't heard as singles before?
Yeah, it's been really nice, you know, like I've gotten lots of comments on a few particular songs which were, you know, for lack of a better expression, album songs. You know, they weren't the singles. They weren't the ones that I thought that I would push to radio because I thought that they would be great. You know, they don't necessarily have that 3-second grabbing sort of characteristic that you need to make people listen really quickly. That Vacant Lot or Leave Me Out to Dry or even Mother Please have. And so it's nice to see that my lifelong dream of wanting to put out an album as a full, piece of art. People are going through and actually listening to the songs, listening to and sitting with them and listening to them in full.
Yeah.
So that's that is better than any praise on radio or for singles or anything. It's that people took the time. 42 minutes is a long time to dedicate to somebody, and so I feel really appreciative that people want to sit down with these songs, even a couple of times in a row. It's been really nice.
Really nice to hear. I guess, and it's interesting when you haven't released some of these songs, the ones that people choose that sort of stand out to them, are they the ones that you thought they would be mentioning? Or
no, not at all, actually. I mean, there are a couple of songs, like Germany is one that I do get a lot of messages about, particularly from people who were there. I think I get lots of messages from people who were there through the times that I'm singing about. They recognize the little references and little pieces of DNA which were within those songs that they may have remembered. And so it's nice when they pick up on that. It means I'm doing my job right. Yeah. But it's also nice to see that, the songs that I didn't necessarily pen or didn't necessarily pick to be favorites are, some people's favorites for whatever reason. It's really cool.
Yeah. I always like to hear why people like things, and it's not often what you think. It's really good.
For sure.
Keep You Up My Sleeve is number 7. Tell us.
Yeah, this was another fun one. This was a song that, it's a little bit of a song about nothing. Sean Ryan and I had just finished writing a song called Dad, the Devil and I, which is coming up. And it was 2:00 in the morning, and we had drunk a whole lot of wine. And we thought, this is cool. Should we just keep going? Let's start another song. And we did, and we wrote it really quick. And we realized that was our first songwriting session together. And to come away with 2 songs was, really spectacular.
Yeah.
And this was a song where we realized that we had the same level of, sarcasm and cynicism and all of these beautifully pessimistic things that we'd probably butted heads with other people with before, because the songwriting style was slightly different. But we realized that we worked really well together, and this was a song which sort of came from that. And I think because it was a little bit of a song about nothing, it meant that when we dressed it up in the studio, it was a lot different than the rest of the record. But this is also if you like Elliott Smith, or you like a bit of Josh Pike, or even some Alexander Biggs and even some Jason Isbell stuff, like they've done records which have been this doubled vocals thing like this song is, which is what we were going for, and I think it worked out.
Yeah, it absolutely has. I love it, actually. It's one that I've listened to a couple of times, so it's really good. Yeah, cool. Number 8 is The Ferryman, which we have touched on. So number 9, Dad, the Devil and I.
Yeah, so I obviously have a song about my mum, for my mum, and Dad was upset that he didn't have a song. So I said I always wanted to write him something, and my dad is a spectacular man and I love him to bits. He's a bit of an enigma. There are so many parts to him, which, there's all of these really specific DNA attributes to him. And one of the things that I thought I could write about was the fact that even though his name's Michael, his nickname is Ned. And when I was growing up, he played for a rugby team called the Bushrangers. And so for a period of my childhood, I, had it in my mind that my dad was Ned Kelly. And, there were a couple of characteristics that I noticed were sort of the same, such as, he's a bit of a tight ass when it comes to money. Anything that's not nailed down, he reckons is fair game. And so he was a bit of an outlaw in that sort of sense. And I feel like his dad before him and was much the same. And I feel like I see a lot of myself in the two of them as well. And I wanted to write a song about that. And this theory that, it was the significant other, it was my mum, and it was my nan who, sort of tamed them down and made them suitable for society. I feel like I'm a little bit the same, I've got a beautiful girlfriend, and I feel like she's, the brightener of my day, because I'm a bit of a pessimist and a bit of a, words that I can't say here. So yeah, I wanted to write a song about that. So, and yeah, it's turned out to be a favorite for sure. And actually, it's funny, like, when I play it live, I always start the song and I tell that story and I go, yeah, you know, my dad's a bit of a tight ass, and my dad hated that. And so I then had to preface it as well that, you know, I wanted to be just like him. So yeah, I hope he likes it. The main.
That's what I was going to say. What was his reaction to the whole song and the story behind?
Yeah, it was definitely very, you know, incriminating the first few times I played it before I had got my own, you know, the monologue right. But when I, you know, made it out and made him realize that, you know, all of these things that I'm pointing out and poking fun at, like, they're out of love and admiration. Yeah.
Next time he wants to whinge about not getting a song, he might think twice.
You're exactly right. I said, you wanted a song? Here's your song.
Yeah. He didn't specify. And number 10, No One's Saint.
Yeah, this is probably the song that I've gotten the most feedback on, actually. And it's actually a song that I've, interesting enough, I've gotten a lot of messages about from songwriters and you know, musicians that I deeply respect. And it's a song which doesn't have a chorus, and for a couple of years it was really just words on a page, and it took a while for it to take form and actually have music behind it. But it was sort of born out of this period where I was living with a guy who had fallen out of his faith. And we were talking about this quite a bit. And I think it just came down to me having an opportunity to write a song, pointing out the fact that, you know, we're all capable of mistakes, you know, human or God or deities or anything, you know, that they're not perfect. And yeah, it was just, I wanted to put that in a conceptualized song that was not necessarily for anyone else, and that's probably why it is 10 on the record. But I think those who do get through the record and get to this song, I've gotten a lot of messages from those people, so that's been really nice.
Very special, very special. And number 11 is the title track, When I Go. Is there a reason you put the title track at the end? Is there?
Yeah, I think this song sort of, you know, start the entire record. It sort of encapsulates this theme of leaving, and this felt like the song is in the form of a letter to somebody who is from somebody who is leaving, and it felt like, you know, the last hurrah, the big finale. And we often put it at the end of the set, mostly because it has a big Riley Catherall 7-minute guitar solo, which is totally, you know, not called for. And yeah, but it is fun for me, absolutely. But yeah, it's one of them moments where we end the set with this song, and it felt like the nicest way to sort of send the record off.
Yes. And is a title track, was that always going to be, is it something that you took you a while to come to as the title?
Yeah, it did. I think, like, you know, last year having a bit of forced downtime due to COVID, enabled me to sort of look through the songs that I had. And, you know, after drawing a line in the sand and realizing that, you know, a particular period of my life was coming to a close, because, you know, I was in a better place, I realized that a lot of these songs that I'd written were about instability and leaving and constantly trying to, you know, travel and find where you fit in. And I felt like When I Go was, you know, the start of that. It was during it, and it was at the end of it. You know, it was just like this one overall phrase which encapsulated what I was trying to get across with all of these songs. And yeah, I think I toyed around with a few different titles, but when this one came to mind, it definitely stuck for sure.
Yeah, it's a great title. It's a great album, and I can't wait till you can actually get out on the road and play it live and people can see it. I know you've got some shows booked coming up. Have you got any that are definitely going ahead that you know of at the moment?
Yeah, so we sort of just had a lot of the August shows. I haven't really promoted anything because it's so hard to promote a tour that know is not going to happen. So a lot of our August shows aren't going ahead. I am kicking things off actually in Geelong on the 22nd of August, which is going to be a nice way to start things. And then we sort of head up into regional New South Wales. We're doing Bathurst and Dubbo, and it's a bit all over the place, really. But yeah, then we're heading down to Adelaide on the 17th of September, and then a Melbourne show on the 19th, heading up to Newcastle, Sydney, Canberra, all the way up to Queensland. And then I think we're going to be coming full circle, and a lot of the shows which were supposed to happen in August are now going to be rescheduled for October and November. And, hopefully might get some Tasmania shows in there as well.
That would be great. We definitely can manage that. And you're heading to Tamworth in January, all going well?
Yes. I haven't thought about it. It's one of them things that everyone seems to, like, I'm seeing gigs being advertised already. It seems to be one of them things that people get onto really early. Yeah. I've never been good at that. But, we missed out, obviously, this year. So I'm looking forward to getting back up there for sure.
Wonderful. Before we go, where can people get the album?
RileyCatherall.com is probably the best spot. It's all over my website and Bandcamp, and there's links all over social media as well. So, get out there and buy a record, please. If
you haven't listened to it all, go and have a listen now, because it is, what was it, 42 minutes you were saying? It's 42 minutes that you won't regret. It's great fun, and it's a story the whole way through. It's good.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much for spending the time with us and going through the whole album. I know that we've taken up a fair bit of your night, but
that's
it
right.
is great.
Always happy.
Finally, great to see the whole thing out. Such a good album.
Absolutely. Tell me about it.
Well, thank you for joining us, and thank you everybody for joining us also. We don't have a show tomorrow night. I am actually going to see a show, all going well. So there might be some footage come up of that, so keep an eye out tomorrow night, but we'll be back next week, so stay tuned. We've got some more shows coming very soon. Thank you again, Riley. Can't wait to see you again very soon.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
All right, see you guys.
Thank you for listening. We hope you've enjoyed today's program. See you next time with the latest with Country Kickback.